News, your source for Catholic news. And because we no longer, I no longer identify as the most popular Catholic news channel on YouTube, I'm going to just kind of go all out today. I'm not allowed to identify as something that I'm not, considering the new government. But there are still people that think you can. Kind of like Father Mitchell Doyen, pastor at St. Josephine Bakita Parish in North St. Louis City. He testified during a Missouri House Committee hearing on February 3rd on a bill to ban gender procedures for minors. He said that the bills which you contemplate today are dehumanizing our brothers and sisters. So, he said, I am not afraid to imagine a world more profound than male and female. And I trust the parents, families, the doctors, the counselors, all who love our LMNOP youth to make these decisions more than I trust you. In a statement shared with Catholic News Agency on Wednesday, the Archdiocese of St. Louis said Doyen was speaking on his own behalf, and the comments did not accurately reflect church teaching. Well, what does reflect church teaching, Archdiocese of St. Louis? Because Rosansky is a Francis bishop. So what does he actually believe? What does he want to say? Because this under a Catholic bishop, this priest would have been removed immediately for supporting LMNOP mutilation. Just disgusting. There's no one to back them. There's no one to back them up. If the Archbishop even disagreed with this priest, it's absolutely ridiculous. Let me just take a minute here. Rosansky's a Biden bishop. That's pathetic. Okay. All right. So, another thing to another story to follow those same lines. Auxiliary Bishop Michael Rowder of the Archdiocese of Armagh in Ireland was speaking on February 1st at the Shrine of St. Bridget at her birthplace in Ireland. He said, last week we watched with interest the inauguration of Donald Trump as President of the United States of America. There was, of course, a lot of coverage of everything that was said and done that day and in the days after. However, much of the controversy came from an unexpected source. At a service to pray for the new president on the day after the inauguration, Bishop Marianne this is his quote. Bishop Marianne Edgar Boudet of the Episcopalian Church called on President Trump to show mercy and to have compassion on those who are most vulnerable in society, people whom she claimed were scared. Rowder said Boudet's words were a forthright and courageous sermon to give, but it was also in many ways a standard sermon about the basic Christian principles of loving one's neighbor and about being charitable and generous in our dealings with those less fortunate. So, this auxiliary bishop in Ireland, thumbs down. Very, very much thumbs down. And he called her a bishop even though she's not. It's fake. The orders are fake. And what she said about LMNOPs is ridiculous. And this Irish bishop just really doesn't get it. You know, his churches probably have Mohammedans. Okay. Remember how the one Irish priest invited Mohammedans to his church, but Catholics couldn't go. But that's all who wants to go into the Catholic churches now is Mohammedans, and not because they want to convert to the Catholic faith, and not because the Irish bishops are trying to convert them to the Catholic faith. It's just pathetic. And this is what we're dealing with, is that an Irish bishop has more in common with a Anglican woman lay bishop than actual Catholic saints of the past. And using Saint Bridget, using the feast day of Saint Bridget to, I guess, speak this nonsense is disgusting. Okay. The U.S. Catholic Bishops' Conference, the USCCB, laid off 50 staff members in its Migration and Refugee Services office Friday, citing a delay in reimbursements from the federal government. The USCCB spokesperson Chico Noguchi, in a statement shared with CNA, said the job cuts were due to continuing uncertainty regarding refugee resettlement and overall future of those programs. So, the USCCB is getting what it asked for. They laid off a bunch of staff because the government funding is not coming in as quickly as they expected. It's really sad. These staff members, they took jobs. I guess they were hoping that they would retain their jobs, but obviously that's not going to happen, and it's really dependent on government funding rather than stability. So it's kind of sad to see for those people, but what do they actually do? Because I did watch some, I did actually watch some videos where, not necessarily USCCB, but Catholic Charities staff were smuggling immigrants different places, and you talk about so-called unaccompanied minors. Yeah, they were smuggling them too. So it's really tough business. And when these guys get defunded, it's probably for the better. And I know that one of the, I don't know, there was a cardinal, a Vatican cardinal, who said about how it's a disgrace that the U.S. is cutting off foreign aid. And I said, well, why doesn't Francis just ask his friends in the World Economic Forum and the United Nations to help cover the cost there, help fill in the gaps? But no, they won't do that because they want to influence governments, not actually help people. So that's just how it works. And the people that have money, they like to seize power everywhere, but don't like to spend it, don't like to help people out. And probably because they see some of these charities are not spending the money effectively. So that's just how it works. Okay. Oh, here's something that'll make you really disgusted. All right, I don't even know if how much I want to comment on this, but new Cardinal Timothy Radcliffe says that the challenge of talking about the synod, this is a quote from him, not me, the challenge of talking about the synod is rather like talking about sex with somebody who's just getting to puberty. It's about how you are alive in a new way. Now this, and I intentionally made the title what it was. And I'm sure that this will get cut off of monetization. So, he's a pervert. This is absolutely disgusting. This is the sad, perverted state of the Francis Church. It's about how you're alive in a new way. So he's comparing the synod to talking to boys. Did you learn anything from McCarrick? No. Okay. This and um, I think his birthday is in the fall. So if there's a papal conclave before the fall, this guy who told Catholics they should watch Brokeback Mountain will be voting for a new pope. So just leave that disgusting thought in your head for a second. What a pervert. It's called the PervChurch for a reason. All right, and then I just found this article. Oh boy, this is not working so well here. Anyway, Houston Catholic Charities cut 20% of its staff amid budget reductions, and I can't get to this website, so it's unfortunate, but that's what we have. Okay. Too bad. But anyway, yeah. Houston Catholic Charities laid off 20% of its staff, and I think we're going to have more Catholic Charities branches will be cutting more of their staff. And I knew it was coming. That's what I said. Whenever you rely on government funding and people's jobs are completely funded by the government, then when the government pulls that money, then those people are going to lose their jobs, and that's exactly what's happening. And I called this. If you were watching this channel, you knew exactly this information. I did some research into Catholic Charities a number of years ago, and I didn't even find it wasn't even half of their financials that I was reporting on, and it just turned out that there were still billions of dollars in Catholic Charities. So that's just what it was. Okay, well, that is all the news I have for today. But I do want to recommend, and I don't have it in the description, but Father Jason Charon, I think it's spelled Charron. He has his own YouTube channel. He's a Ukrainian Catholic priest, and he released this long video essentially criticizing He Who Must Not Be Named. I promised I'd never talk about this guy, not Father Charon, but the guy he's criticizing. I promised I'd never talk about him on this channel, and so I'm not. But Father Charon, I might talk about him on this channel at a later date, but there's not enough information to talk about right now. Father Charon criticized him and really just kind of laid it out for how it was, and he talked about also like YouTube presence, not just for the guy he was addressing, but really for everyone in general. And he asked, how much time are you spending in prayer compared to how much time you're spending on the video? And it really makes you think. Now I spend once a week just live streaming, so really not a lot of time. And occasionally I'll record some videos, and it actually it takes more time than I'd like, honestly, but I don't really spend a whole lot of time on YouTube anymore. Spend a little bit of time preparing some of these news stories, but that's about it. That's a tough part with Catholic YouTube. It's you want to have some good videos, but you don't want to make them like terribly clickbait. But at the same time, you don't want to talk to a wall. You don't want to talk to a bunch of bots either. So that's always the the fine line you know, the tightrope you walk, I guess, is like making it accessible to people, but then do people actually care what you think? And um, you know, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And it was kind of funny early on. I was finding out what kind of videos would get the clicks. I wasn't necessarily trying to do some clickbait, but it was anything I said early on. Well, like 5, 6, 7 years ago about Vegano. Vegano would get a lot of clicks. Um, yeah, 7 years ago. That's 2018 was 7 years ago. That's a long. That's really surprising. It feels like it wasn't that long ago. But yeah, Vegano got some clicks. Um, I started the channel in 2019, so it's only been 6 years, but still, that's longer than it feels. Um, what else got clicks? Altman, Father Altman. Anything with Bishop Barron in the title, usually. And yeah, that was that. And now nothing really gets clicks, but it's all right. It's okay because I don't want to be a professional Catholic. I don't think I'd enjoy making money off of the Catholic faith exclusively. Um, that's just kind of how it is. Anyway, okay, just a lot of rambling there, but um, yeah, I think the more. Let me ask you this because I don't think I'll give you my comments right now, but um, I'll kind of throw it out there. So Eric Ibarra, you've probably seen his stuff. He was on Avoiding Babylon recently, and he made the comment that he thinks that the next pope will be Francis II. And I want you to leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm not going to tell you mine yet. I don't even know if I have an opinion on it, but what do you think? Because there are other people that think the next pope will be a Benedict XVII, and we'll get into this, you know, once the conclave starts or whatever, once it happens, because it's going to happen. It might not happen that soon. I think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen as soon as everyone would like, honestly. Some people think there will be a Benedict XVII because they think the Cardinals are sick of Francis. But a lot of Cardinals are really living it up, and they're really enjoying their time under Francis. And the more Cardinals Francis names, the more radical they get. So, oh, now we have the people that aren't spammers pouring in. We get the bots at the beginning, and then we get the real followers at the end. All right, so Vendi, thanks for watching. Elizabeth, is it Elizabeth V or Elizabeth the Fifth? Is that Roman numerals? I don't know. I'm kind of getting the kick out of myself, I guess. That's what happens when you talk to yourself. I pray we don't get a Francis II. I just want to have a Catholic. Yeah, I'd be okay with the Benedict the 17th. I'd be okay with that at this point, especially considering, you know, Pope Benedict the 16th, you know, what he did with, oh boy, what was was his document? Summorum Pontificum. It's such a distant memory. V is in the letter. Okay, there you go. Well, thanks for watching, Elizabeth. I'm just kind of cracking myself up, stuck on the numerals. Yeah, you know, I don't think, I mean, I'm not trying to necessarily get people prepared, but I don't know that a Francis II would be any worse than what we have right now. In fact, I really don't want to get into analysis at this point because I have a lot more research to do, but someone like a Cardinal Zuppi really isn't that hostile towards the Latin Mass. So he'd kind of be like, you know, religion is the opium of the people type of thing. Like, do what makes you happy. So if you want to have an LMNOP rainbow mask, you can have that. If you want to have a Philadelphia Eagles mask with a, did you see that? Did you see that video clip with the priest wearing a custom vestments that look like a football jersey? Yeah, that actually happened. Um, so he'd say, if you want to do that, you can do that. If you want to go and lobby the Missouri Supreme, not the Supreme Court, the Missouri House of Representatives, um, to encourage LMNOP surgeries for kids. Um, do what makes you happy. You know, just don't vote for Trump. What we have now is bad enough. Oh yeah, for sure. I agree with that one. Um, but I don't think I don't think the Francis Church, they've run out of steam. They've completely run out of steam. I mean, the train's been derailed, and Francis II would just continue off the rails. And I don't know that it would. I don't know that it would do any more damage to the church than it's already done. It's sad to say. Not damage to the church. I have to be careful about how I say it. Um, well, it is damage. It is damage. Yeah. It's. I have to be careful about saying destroying the church, because the church will never be destroyed. But the hierarchy is doing the best that they can. So, the best that they can to destroy it, but it won't be destroyed. They're giving their best efforts. Well, Frankenchurch. Well, since this video is going to lose its monetization, I call it the PervChurch. I mean, based on the stories that I've, and that's not my term. That's Frank Walker from Canon 212. That's his term. It's the PervChurch, because that's who's running the show right now. Oh yeah, Bishop Zanchetta. He received. What happened to Bishop Zanchetta? Let me check on. Let me check on my websites here. I think Zanchetta was recently in the news. Another one of Francis' Perv friends. Oh boy. Okay. And can I know that there was something with his arrest where he. I don't know. I didn't even feel like it was worth looking for, but no, it is, because now that we're on the topic, right? Zanchetta. Ah, here we go. No, that's not it. Okay, I thought I saw. I thought I saw something about how he missed out on, or how he like petitioned for to be released from arrest or something, or his he appealed or something and he lost, but I don't know. I really don't know. Francis' health really isn't that good anymore either. Um, he well, in this time of year, like, I don't know. I can absolutely feel the allergies and everything getting to me pretty bad. Um, so maybe everyone's dealing with some mediocre, uh, mediocre quality of. I don't want to say quality of life, but just kind of not feeling the greatest. And but Francis was sick these past few days, and it seems like he's been getting sick a lot. Like every week, there's something about him being sick again, and him falling. Of course, he had what the Vatican claimed was bronchitis just recently. He had to have other people. Um, he had to have other people read stuff for him. He's really feeling. He's really feeling some pressure to ramp things up, and I just wonder, when is this blitz of new bishops in the United States going to happen? Not new bishops, but promotions, because there's like at least 4 or 5 archdioceses that have bishops that are already 75, and I think it might have been today. Happy birthday, Cardinal Dolan. It might have been. It was in the recent days. Cardinal Dolan turned 75. So there's another archbishop spot that's opening up. I think Benedict the 17th may be worse. Well, because at least people are waking up to the modernism in Vatican II. I assume that's with Francis. With Benedict the 17th, people will go back to sleep on the real issue with the crisis. Well, maybe. Um, I again, I'm gonna have to wait and see what I think. And that's sort of where I'm leaning. Is that, look? I mean, so many people have woken up to the reality of Francis, that he's compromised. He's very compromised. He's compromising the Catholic faith. I can believe he has bronchitis because he has a partial lung. Yeah, he had a lung, part of his lung removed when he was very young, like in his 20s. Because, yeah, years ago, well, yes, many, many decades ago, actually. Breathlessness does sound like pneumonia or bronchitis or something lung related. I wonder. I'm not a medical professional, but I wonder um, what his chances are of picking up COPD. And I'm not wishing that. I'm not wishing that he will get COPD, but I just know that's a lung kind of thing that it's a really miserable end. It comes to a really miserable end if you have COPD, but it's a lung thing if you have poor lungs. So, but again, this time of year, it's everyone's. It seems like, I mean, even this year more than anything, it seems like everyone's dealing with some kind of, even like mild medical um, thing, just not feeling the greatest this time of year. So, and it may have something to do with the weather. The weather is different this year um, than it's been in previous years. At least from where I'm at, it seems as though every winter for the past maybe like 5 years has been somewhat of a mild winter, and this year it's particularly harsh, and it's based on the forecast. It doesn't look like it's going to get any better for a little while at least. I think March will be a literally a breath of fresh air where I can get outside and um, at least breathe in some fresh air that's not like extremely cold. Benedict XVI was also compromised in regard to the faith because he allowed the TLM and look traditional. People overlooked it, but and I'm not. I mean, that's true, but you know, if if Francis hadn't crushed the TLM, how many people, like, people would still criticize him and say, okay, something's completely compromised, but we'd still have the Latin Mass. So um, I think this is really putting pressure on people. Like when the what's it called, when the rubber meets the road, or when the going gets tough, are you just going to go to your Novus Ordo? And um, I stand of the opinion that if you're going to go to a Novus Ordo, go to your local one. Don't go to a reverent Novus Ordo. Um, Go to your local one, because Novus Ordo is Novus Ordo. You really should look for an Eastern Rite or a Latin Mass. If you don't have either of those, then try to get one. Whether that's an underground Latin Mass or a Eastern Rite. Don't go to the Novus Ordo. See, there you go. But yeah, the people that go to the Reverent Novus Ordo, it's how I mean it's I don't know. You're not gonna get what you're looking for. Sad to say. It's just whenever you study the Mass, the liturgy, and the parts of the Mass, it's just really discouraging to see what was done to the liturgy in the 60s. If the reformers of Vatican II would have only said let's offer some of the mass in vernacular. Like, let's offer certain parts of the mass in vernacular and change nothing else, then I don't think you would have seen nearly the rupture that you have today. Of course, that might have actually been a good thing that there were such drastic changes. Again, kind of getting back to the theory on that, because it's the slow drip. Communism just changes things slowly over time. Boiling the frog, what's it called? Boiling the frog in water. Um, if you throw it into boiling water, it'll jump out right away. But if you boil it, it's not going to realize that because it's cold-blooded. And if you eliminate certain things over time, like, you know, if they were to add the sign of peace for lay people, and then slowly introduce communion in the hand, just slowly do things rather than drastically. Vatican II was such a rupture that it was a drastic change, and then they introduced communion in the hand several years later in the United States. And then altar girls, that was a big thing. Eucharistic ministers. But if they do that slowly, and they're doing things slowly now, and the Francis Church is doing things slowly, like the LMNOP blessings. The Pachamama worship kind of shoved everything in everyone's face, and now they're going to introduce women into the diaconate. It's going to be very slow, but they're going to have women deacons functionally. They already do, probably. How many lay people gave you a blessing, or how many lay people gave St. Blaise blessings this year? Can lay people give blessings with candles? I mean, you can pray for someone, but can you give a blessing? Can a lay person give a blessing? The problem is Latin Mass is not available everywhere. Some people can't drive 4 hours one way. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true, especially out west, if they live in the middle of nowhere. But people really have to consider moving near a Latin Mass parish. That would be the best thing to do. The counter church operatives knew exactly what they were doing. And yeah, so the next thing to show up is women deacons. And and honestly, they already exist. There's the Diocese of Pittsburgh has female master of ceremonies. That's her title. She's an employee of the Diocese of Pittsburgh, and she goes to all these masses, including a priestly ordination, and she's the one to direct all the priests on where they need to go. It's a woman. And if you're a man getting ordained and you have a woman directing people on the altar, what did you just do? Why did you not join a religious order where they don't have women serving on the altar? I mean, St. Paul is very clear on that. Women will assume a greater role in the counter church. As long as Francis lives, that's going to happen, and we'll see what happens after that. That's one of the big goals of the synod. I think there's something to do with LMNOP, although they already got blessings, so they're just going to try to stretch that a little further. I remember when I used to go to the Novus Ordo, sometimes the acolyte would help with the Blaise blessing. Yeah, it's just not good. And then people try to get into the priest's line for communion at the Novus Ordo, try to avoid the Eucharistic ministers, and it's just not good. Yeah, it's a sad situation, and people really, if you're raising a young family, you can't, it's so damaging to the faith to expose them to the rot that's in the Novus Ordo. Even just the stuff that you see at most Novus Ordos, like female altar girls, all the lay people running around on the altar, and Eucharistic ministers, communion in the hand, just they're egregious abuses. If you take a 1955 Catholic and show them what the Novus Ordo was, they would say, this is Protestant. Really. They'd be appalled, every single one of them. Anyway, okay. enough ranting about that. Yeah, eventually I'll have a commentary on the next pope. Again, I think we're going to see some more bishops. I'm not eagerly waiting. I hope that a different pope will name most of the bishops, but I have my expectations that Francis is very soon going to name some really bad bishops, or at least promote some really bad bishops to some of the bigger archdioceses that have positions that will be soon vacant once they're replaced. There are at least 4 or 5 where the archbishops are already 75 years old, so they're past the retirement age. So they'll be out of there at any time on they'll have a one-way ticket to the beach. Maybe not this time of year. One-way ticket to Florida. Enjoy that retirement. Yeah. So, okay. Until next time, this has been EVTN News. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really glad all of you were able to jump in on the comments. And, yeah. Oh, here we go. A few more comments coming through. Keep an eye on the Omaha Archdiocese. I believe that George Lucas is hitting 75 soon. I'm pretty sure that's one of the ones. Always a choice. May not be the one you want. I was Novus Ordo most of my life until 5 years ago. They have Ultra Girls in Omaha. Yep. Yeah, Omaha is one. Actually, there's quite a few in the Midwest sort of area. Omaha, Kansas City, Detroit, Cincinnati. Those are the ones off the top of my head. And then you have New York, and I think Cardinal DiNardo in Houston. I think. Was he replaced already? I don't know. It's hard to keep track. There's so many. Anyway, until next time, thank you so much for watching. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.